Hello, Anirudh.
Yes.
Yeah, yesterday you shared one link, I think, right, for job using JobLib for this code.
I didn't share a link, but I can share one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You please share
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
Thank you.
sure. Okay, I can demonstrate something also. The job lib since
Maybe
that
you
has
can,
come as a
Anirudh,
request.
you can mute one of your account. Both are active, I think.
I have just logged in using once. It
Anirudh, both of you. Okay,
now
yeah,
it's fine.
yeah, it's fine.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I think there was some issue. Okay, yeah, I can demonstrate this job lib thing and why it's useful maybe since that has come as a request. So okay, let me just try to. Yeah. Okay. Let us see. So I'll just demonstrate why JobLib is useful, right? So it's very useful in doing tasks in a multiprocessing way, since it can be this can be used for various tasks, right? So I'll just demonstrate one. So let's say that you want to calculate the duration of the files that are present in your system or for training, right? You want to maybe use that, then I think I'll just copy the path from here. I'll just copy this. And then whatever is inside, I want the star.web, right? That how it usually works. Let's see if we fetch something. Oh, it's empty. Let's move this. It's still empty. Wait, if I have data inside. I have here. Okay, yeah. Now we have all the audio files here, okay? And I want to calculate the duration of each audio file. So why joblib is useful, we can see. So first I'll just calculate the duration using the usual Python methods, okay? So I've imported socks. So let's just create a function here, which I'll call as audio duration. Audio duration, I'll pass in the WAV file, right? And what it will do is it will simply return me the duration of the file. So that is sox.fileinfo.duration and the path. Okay, so this is my function. Okay, so if I want to create to basically find the duration of all the files in this list, I can simply use a list comprehension, and maybe I'll time this cell as well. So this will just give me the time in which this cell is executed. Okay, so what it will give me is durations is equal to audio duration of f, or f in TQDM of audio files. Okay, why TQDM? Because I want to see the progress bar. So this is just a Python wrapper to print out progress bars, nothing else. So I can iterate over a list. That's why I can use this, and then I will just say the total is the len of my audio files, right? So if you see, this is running, right? And it is taking some time to calculate the duration. So if I use just a single processor in my CPU, this is what the duration, this is how the process will go by, and it will take this much time to basically calculate duration. Okay, so you see that it's quite slow here, right? That even to calculate just 22 hours of data, it's taking so much time. So we'll let it just run. Okay, so the process finished in 53.8 seconds, right? And that is because I used this magic command in Jupyter Notebook. So this basically tells you the time it takes to execute that particular cell. Okay, and now if I do the same process using joblib, so I've imported joblib, I've imported some functions, parallel delayed, and we will see how much time it takes this time. Okay, so if I just do it here, so I'll just do the same thing, but using these commands. So here I have to specify n jobs, and this is my CPU count in my computer. Okay, so this tells us to basically run it in parallel. Then I have to say delayed. And I have to specify the function. Okay, and then I have to specify my input to the function. Okay, for f in, and the same thing can come here also. So I can just copy the same thing, and it will be TQDM, the same, because this is still a Python list. So I'll just run this and hopefully it should work. So let's just see, right? So you see how fast this works, right? So it is using all the cores in my computer, and it's basically calculating the durations of all the audio in 11 seconds, right? So you see like how important it becomes to basically optimize your machine for the particular use you have. Right. Are there any questions in this?
Thanks, Samir.
Yeah. So you can do a lot of things. I mean, these kind of processes. So any process which runs on the CPU, basically you can optimize using these kind of things. So you can. So here there is something known as a backend. Okay. So if I was just opening the documentation of joblib, so you can specify what backend you want to use. Okay, so you can use, so in Python there is multiprocessing and other kind of backends, but here there's a more optimized backend than that, also something called as Loki, and it basically does process in multiprocessing as well, but it also shares memory within objects and all those things. So it is basically very, very customizable as well. Okay, so you can go through the documentation if you want to look at more of this. I'll just share it. Okay, so everybody is able to log into the instance, or yeah, okay. So I'll just basically log into one instance as well. I was using the group 2 instance. Let me just try to log into this. Okay. So here is the repo which we basically pulled yesterday, right? So if the training, I don't know if there are some checkpoints in this, or let me just check. Yeah, there are some checkpoints, that should be fine. So yesterday we were able to train the model, right? And we were able to see that we were able to actually reach an accuracy of around 96%, sometimes 97% on the validation set. And all the best models would have been automatically being saved in your checkpoints in the check best model part. So the best model basically saves the checkpoint for your lowest validation loss. That's how we have written the script, and that checkpoint should be here. So I'm not sure how many epochs were completed on my machine, but at least there is something to infer on. So I want you all to do one more thing now. So I want you to just basically do a git status. So it will tell you you have changed any files. You changed, so I have changed train and config. I can just basically do a git stash. Okay, so it will just stash all my changes here, and then I can do a git pull. Okay, so if everyone has done this, then you will see some files which are basically where some changes are being done. No, okay. You overwritten. Please commit your changes before you merge. Okay, so there are some changes here. Wait.
So Aniket, you can git commit. Stash doesn't work for some reason.
Okay. Let me just check. Didn't want to commit, but okay. I need to commit this -m training changes. Okay. So this is my machine in which I haven't basically. So all the users might not be able to do this, right? Wait.
User email
Yeah.
you have to give.
Yeah. Setting this just to basically see how it's going. Okay, so I need to add them first. I want to do this, but okay, let's just see.
Participants can do this. Maybe if you people have parked this to your account, maybe you can
Yeah,
do
they
this.
maybe then they will
Otherwise,
do.
you may not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, otherwise they can't do that. Maybe people can wait.
Uh, yeah, I mean, if you just do, so this file is already here. So if you just see, so this is basically the infer file, which is nothing but it loads the checkpoint of your best checkpoint. So you have to provide the path of the best checkpoint and the audio you want to test it on. Okay, and you have to specify a language map, which you can basically look at your validation set and see as to what key was for which language. Okay, and then it basically just loads in the checkpoint, does a forward pass and prints out the value of the label. Okay, based on the prediction. That's all that we need to do. I mean, we have already done this in the validation part, but it's still the same. I think git stash git pull work. Can somebody share their screen and do it in front of me so that I know if it's working or not? I'll stop sharing.
Maybe Ayush can share your screen.
Yeah, I will share.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So okay.
Yeah. So don't. Yeah. So can you do just ls here? Ls. Yeah. Is info.py file somewhere here? No, it is not here.
It's not there.
Oh, did you do git stash?
Okay, I will do that.
stash. Yeah. Okay. Unable to create temporary file, no space. Oh, that's another issue. What I can do is for the time being.
Okay.
That,
Maybe
yeah.
I will increase that noise. Group one, no?
Yeah.
Wait.
What I can also do is I will paste the infer file here. I mean, you can just do a VI and create that file if that is creating a problem. It's a very short code file.
Okay.
It should be. I mean, for some people it's not working. Just let me. So I pasted the code here.
So this is the entire code.
Wait. There's something missing. In Google Chats, it's not going. Wait. Or what you can do is you can go to this page and copy the code and create a file manually. That is the issue here. Okay, just copy
Okay.
from here and
Just
create a file. Yeah, there's
This one?
Yeah,
Okay.
just copy it.
Yeah. Then
Yeah, just copy it.
yeah, I copied it.
Yeah, and now go to your instance.
Here.
Yeah, create a new file. So vi infer.py, vi space infer.py. Yeah. Press enter. Yeah.
Maybe Ayush, you can check now. I have increased to 100 GB. Maybe you can check now.
And
Okay.
now
Anyways, here you can
do-
put
press I.
I.
Yeah. No, press enter first. I think. Yeah. I. Okay. Now Control Shift V. Right. So
Yeah.
all the code is here. So press escape.
Yeah.
Colon
Colon.
WQ.
Q.
Yeah.
Enter.
Enter. Yes. So still it's not. The file system is.
I have increased. Maybe you can log in again, Ayush.
So this is what you need to do basically, all participants. You can copy the code from here and create a file there. I mean, there are some issues with Git because
So I have
you are
to
not.
sign out and sign in again.
Maybe
So which instance was this, Jagabadhu?
Group one.
Group one. Let me also try to see. Okay.
I have increased. Will I have to stop and start again, or I have increased that to 100 GB?
Yeah, but you need to basically do some other steps also. You basically have to grow you have to merge partitions actually. So I'll just check if that is being
Just
done.
I have increased to 100 GB.
Okay,
I think.
Okay. Let me check. Yeah, it is increased to 100 GB, I can see, but the partition is not merged yet. That's why this issue is coming.
Okay.
I will just try to fix that. On group one, on whose username is the data present?
SYSAD is the system's name. SYSAD.
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 Okay.
Other parts we may remove.
I'll just try to do some things.
Also paste here, Ayush.
That is what I will do.
Put Control V. Save it. It will save or not. That is,
It's
yeah,
saved.
it's saved. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now it is increased to 100 GB. You can check now.
So how do I
And
exit
you have
this?
saved. I think you have saved.
I have saved it here.
How have you saved it?
I have just used this SSH.
We
Yeah.
can do SFTP. Anirudh.
SFTP, sorry, SFTP.
Yeah, but
We can add this.
the disk drive was not. So you have to do these additional steps. I will just paste them in the chat anyways.
Okay.
So
How do I
even
exit from this part?
Control
This is the-
colon
Colon Q.
Escape, colon
Q exclamation mark.
exclamation. Okay.
Yeah. So now if you do LSBLK, LSBLK.
BLK.
Yes. Then press enter. Yes. So it is showing you the current sizes. So earlier what happened was the size was 100, but the partition size was still 50 GB. Okay. And now I have run some commands to basically merge that partition so that it is grown to 100 GB. So now you see that there is 100 GB. So you have to do these additional steps
So
also.
what is that command, Anirudh? Maybe you can type in the.
I'm just pasting them. I just pasted them in the chat. So after we have increased them in the UI, no, Jagabandhu, you have to run these commands also on the instance. So after that only we will be able to access that that size. Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay. Thank you.
that was the problem, but I think now it's fixed. So now you can create that file.
Since I've already created, I will just.
Okay.
check.
You created that. Okay.
Yeah, it's info.py.
Okay. Great. So now you can go in the environment, conda activate LID. Okay.
Yeah.
Now you can try running Python info.py and it will throw you an error. Python.
Oh, sorry. Info.py.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the usage. Okay.
Okay.
So how you have to run it is try python.py again. Python infer.py.
Same thing.
Yeah. And now space. You have to go to your best checkpoint. So checkpoints. You can press tab.
Yeah.
Slash best and slash tab again. And then press tab again. So it gives you the best checkpoint.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you can give path of any audio. So the audio is in data, right? Type data.
Data.
Yeah. Slash LID underscore data. I think. Yeah. Just press tab also. Yeah. Slash open SLR. Anything Kannada you can take. Now press tab again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So press tab again.
No, it's not.
It will show you the options, right? So it is showing you Kannada male. So you can go to male, female, anything.
Yeah. Okay.
And now inside this, you have to find the file name also. So if you press tab again, it will try to show you. It is showing you 2214. Okay, press Y.
Okay.
Yeah, just press Y once. It's okay. Yeah. So you can
Enter.
Yeah, press enter. Enter or space bar, whatever.
Too many files.
Too many files. Okay, I'll give you a file name then. Just wait for a second. You can either copy some name from here or
Okay.
get it from
Okay. I will
some other
copy
way.
your name.
Yeah. Copy your name. So it's still not. You have to press enter. Keep pressing enter. Just copy it. Yeah, but press enter again and again.
No, Control C, you can come out now.
Yeah,
Then it will
control C.
come out after everything.
Just press Q.
You also. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
So, yeah. You can delete this part. The part. No. Just the
That's the
Some
initial.
initial. The initial part you have to delete.
KNM 0 also.
Yeah.
Here also. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enter.
Now you can press enter. One more thing we need to change. I think we need to. This is a CPU only machine. Okay, this is strange. Okay, we can do one thing. First, go to your data. Let's fix both the things. Inference can run on CPU also. That's not a problem. We can change that. Go to go to data. CD data. Now press enter. Yeah, and do head.
Okay. Head.
Head. Space valid. And press tab. Yeah, and enter. Yes. So we want to see what label is for what language. Okay. So here we see that 0 is for Gujarati, right? 2 is for Telugu, and 1 is for Kannada. Okay. So we have to remember this. 1 is Kannada, 2 is Telugu, 0 is Gujarati. Okay. Now come back one folder and do vi infer.py. Yes. Oh, so the language map is correct. It was the same for you and me. In device, you can delete everything which is after equal to. Go to that line. Yeah. Press I.
Okay.
Yes. Insert mode and then delete everything. Yes. And just write CPU in quotes.
Okay. CPU in quotes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct. So it will run on a CPU by default now. Okay. Now press escape. colon WQ.
Enter.
Enter. Yes. Now you can press up arrow and try to run the same.
This one.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. It is still not there. Torch.device CPU. Okay, so open the again. Open your vi.infer again. Maybe we need to do torch.device on that. So type torch.device.
Here
Yeah.
only.
Press I first. I.
Okay.
Yeah. And torch.device. Yes. Open parentheses and close it after CPU. Yeah. Now press escape. Colon WQ. Yeah. Now do run the same command again. Yes.
So yesterday, okay.
Why is this problem coming? Let me. It is group 1, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try
So
to log
again,
in.
Anirudh, that watch NVIDIA.smi is not working in group 1.
Not working. Wow. Let me just try to log in the machine and check. This should work for most of the participants. I mean, just log into group 1.
Yesterday
it
they are
works.
logged in.
Yeah. Yesterday it was working.
Again, then we need to patch the drivers. So this, wow, this is Google GCP. Just
Will I run that patching files or?
I'm running.
Are
I'm
you
running.
trying? Okay,
I'm trying.
okay.
I'm trying, Jagabandhu. Yeah, I'm trying on group 1. Is anyone else able to run it while I'm still fixing the patch?
Yes, I was able to run it.
Okay.
Ayush, can you change line number 21 with this command torch.log?
Sorry.
Can you change line number 21 with this map location is equal to torch.device CPU? Infer.py.
This one.
Yeah, this one. Not this one. Not this one. The checkpoint is equal to torch.load.
This one.
Yes.
So what do I change?
You write comma after sys are we comma.
The driver is working now, I think.
Okay.
So
here I can change to GPU.
Yeah,
Yeah,
torch.load. That you have to change to CPU. Okay, that is loading in GPU. That you have to change to CPU. Okay. I think two CPU is also there, no? Some torch to CPU is.
That is for tensor conversion, right?
Okay.
Now
So
the thing
here
is, like,
co-
if we had once we had like specified the device at the top level, we didn't need
Yeah.
to do the map location, change the map
Yeah,
location again.
correct. This model
Right.
should automatically come.
Yes, but now I think the device is. Let me just set the device again because now GPU is working. Now we should be
Yeah,
able
it's
to,
working right.
yeah. Just try to,
So I have to change this vi infer.py right now.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. So what do I change here?
So you can change, you can basically device equal to, you have to write that old command now again.
you
Which
can
I'm
write
just
one also.
pasting in the chat. Yeah.
So, okay. In the chat you have pasted.
Yeah.
Okay. This one.
Yeah, go to insert mode, press I. Yeah, press I first. Yeah. Press
Yeah.
escape, press I.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you go to device and type equal to.
I'm not able to go. Okay.
Go up. Yeah. Press equal to. Yeah. You can, yeah, delete. You can, yeah.
Yes.
Torch. Now I think it should be okay.
And okay. Then everything. Now we can run, right?
Yeah, now you can run, I think. Yeah. Just save it, press escape, WQ. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So you are getting a language. I don't know how far you trained your model, but yeah. So if the model is completely trained, it should be fairly accurate. But this is basically the infer script. So if you open it, I will just explain the steps also of what we are doing in it. If you just open it, so if everyone can just pay attention to this. So there's a process of how we do it in PyTorch. So the first 2-3 lines are basically just to make the usage consistent. So you have to call this script with 2 arguments, right? So one is the checkpoint path and one is the audio path in which you want to basically infer your audio. Okay. Then there's this language map. This is a Python dictionary I have created just to basically output the language instead of, the position of the max argument. Okay. So that's just for convenience, nothing else. Then there's this device. Right, so the device basically tells you where it is CUDA or CPU. Then model is basically we are using the same model. So see here that we are actually loading the ResNet model which we were using in while training. Okay, they cannot be different because if they are different, then the model keys won't match. Okay, the layer names and the number of layers and all those things won't match, and it won't basically work. So you have to be very sure that you are basically fetching the same model that you used while training. Okay, so we didn't make any changes in that. So get model will actually get your ResNet model, ResNet 34 model, right? It will get that model in this variable. Now what you are doing is you are checkpoints, you are loading the best checkpoint or whatever checkpoint you want to load. Okay, you are basically loading that using torch.load. Okay, and then inside the checkpoint there are many states. There would be epoch, there would be so let me share my screen. I think I need to show something else also.
Okay,
so
I will stop sharing.
Yeah. So this is also very important. So when we were saving PyTorch checkpoints, if you look at is my screen visible? Yeah. So when we were saving checkpoints, so we were saving a lot of things. Okay. So if you see, while saving a checkpoint, we are saving all these things. We are saving the epoch number.
Can you increase font size?
Sure. Is it better?
It is good if some more.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
So when we were saving PyTorch checkpoint, we were saving actually all these things inside. Okay. And these are basically for our reference. And the checkpoint object is actually a dict object. So you see that when I'm saving the checkpoint, I am saving the epoch, that till which epoch did I run the model. Okay. Then I'm also saving the minimum loss. Okay. Then the most important thing, that is the state dict, and that is the basically weights of my model which are getting trained. This is the most important thing, right? And for inference, you just need this thing. You don't need the epoch number. You don't need all these things, right? This is just for future reference. If you want to basically, get some information from just the checkpoint itself, right? So the state dict is the dictionary which basically saves the weights for each layer. Okay, so each layer has a name, as we saw earlier yesterday, that con1, con2, fc. So these were the layer names of the model, and this model.state dict basically saves the weights for each layer. Okay, and that is the most important thing. The other thing which I'm also saving is the optimizer state. Okay, so when the optimizer is running, depending on what optimizer you are using, currently we are using Adam optimizer, right? So it has some parameters. It has the learning rate, it has some beta, smoothing parameters, and all those things. It depends on what kind of optimizer you are using. And let's say you want to resume training tomorrow from a current checkpoint, then you need this optimizer state. Otherwise, what will happen is that your optimizer will start from completely fresh knowledge, and your learning rate and all those things which were adjusted while training would be lost. Okay, so that's why we basically save a checkpoint with all these details, so that when you need a checkpoint for what purpose, you can just load that information. Is this clear? Does anybody have any questions? Because this is very important. Any questions? Okay, cool. So if you look at the infer.py script, let me just open that. Where is that infer.py? Let me just refresh it.
Maybe in chat box one link is there. Maybe you can directly.
Yeah, I don't know what is happening here. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So in this infer.py script, you see that I'm only loading the state dict, right? Checkpoints.state dict. I don't need the optimizer information. I don't need the valid loss, and I don't need the epoch number definitely for inferring, right? So first I'm loading the model. So this gives me the architecture with some weights, which will be just dummy weights, right? I have to give the number of categories, and all these changes are happening inside this script, right? And then I'm just basically loading the state dict that will replace the weights with the trained weights. Okay, and that's it. So now once I have this, the model is instantiated with the trained weights, and that's what you need essentially for inferring, right? And then the same thing again, you have to basically put the model in eval state to disable any dropout. Then you do the same kind of preprocessing as we did for training. You load the data, you convert it to basically an array, then you convert it to NumPy, then unsqueeze it to basically increase the dimension so that it can go into the network. You put the features on false on the same device as your model, and you basically get the label, right? And once you have the label, you get the prediction as well, label max. So it basically outputs some values, right? And whatever index has the highest value, that becomes your label, and that is basically the R max kind of thing which is happening. And once you have that prediction, you can simply basically now pass it into your language map. So you have to convert it to a string first, and that's it. So it prints out the language which was there in the language map. Is it clear? Does anybody have any questions? So all the hard part is already done. The training of the model, the validation, everything is done. This is just to basically use your model to, if you want to basically run it on a single audio file, right? So that's the only thing it is doing. But we have to be very sure that while doing all these things, we are preparing the data and the model in the same way. Otherwise, the outputs will be very different. Okay, we cannot do that. We are now preparing our data using some other feature extraction method and trying to infer on this. It will completely give, bad result. It would not be something which you would expect. So you have to process the data in the same way while you were training it. And once we have done that, we just have to do a forward pass and get the argmax of the maximum of what your model output is, and that will be your category, right? So
Sir?
that's the, yeah.
Yes, sir. So actually, like initially we have trained with GPU, right? So that model should ideally be inferred on a CPU also, right?
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
But I'm doing so, it's saying me that runtime error in locate state dict for ResNet, and it is printing all the layers.
Okay.
But whereas it is able to infer in a GPU.
Okay.
Maybe Sai Ganesh, you can share your screen then.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Can you share your screen? You can check. Okay.
Yeah,
I
you
think-
can see my screen, right?
Yes, I'm able
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah. So I'll show the.
Okay.
Right.
So one
So
thing.
this
So
is- yeah.
did you train your model on multi GPU setup or a single?
Yes, multi GPU.
Exactly. So that's why.
So that was my question.
Exactly. So let me share my screen. I can show you something.
Okay, yeah, sure. One
Yeah,
second. Yeah, I have stopped.
Yeah. Okay. So this issue is due to a bug in PyTorch. Okay.
Okay.
Let me show you. So once you are training on the multi GPU setup, actually your layer names are different, right?
Yes.
That's the problem. So there are various ways to deal with it. Let me show you in a similar example, which I'll go through in post-processing. But since we are on that topic, let me just try to show you what's the way around for that. Okay. So if you are basically then yes. So what you can do is either that quick fix is that while inferring also, you do NN.data parallel on your model.
Yeah, I have done.
You have done that and still that is
Yes.
coming? Okay.
Then it says it is using multiple GPUs.
Yeah, but you can run it on a CPU as well, I think.
Okay.
Because this is a bug in PyTorch and we are basically facing the same issue that if you run on a data parallel module, your layer names are a little different.
Yes.
Okay. So either you can basically write your function to basically change the names of the dictionary, the keys of the dictionary, right? That is a little cumbersome, but yeah, this is a bug in PyTorch that while using multiple GPUs, the layer names are different.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've just made the changes. I wrote this data parallel, so I'm just checking whether it is using CPU or GPU.
Yeah, I hope that it works, but if not, then you need to change the keys of the dictionary because
no, it's not working.
It's
it
not
says
working,
module must have its parameter and buffer.
Okay.
On a device.
Cool. Then we basically need to iterate over the keys and change the names. Yeah, because that's a bug if you use a data parallel module in PyTorch. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Actually, I am unable to run this infer.py. Can you help? Just can I share my screen?
Sure.
My screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay. So I have executed NVIDIA SMI and it is telling it is there.
It is working. Yeah.
But when I am running the infer, where is the command? Yeah, this is the infer. So again, it is telling that CUDA that is not found.
Sir, can you open your infer script once?
Yeah.
The device is torch.cuda. It's correct. Can you go down? Yeah, model.device. Okay. Is your torch able to basically access CUDA is what I'm wondering now. Can you exit this?
Yeah.
Can you exit?
I think
you-
some problem with torch.
Could be. Can you open? Can you type just Python? Yeah. Import torch. Yeah, and torch dot CUDA dot is underscore available. Yeah. Let me just try this and
It
parenthesis.
is
Yeah.
it is getting error actually.
Yes. So your PyTorch is not compiled with CUDA. I think you can try to reinstall PyTorch. I can pass you the command and try
Yeah.
that again.
But I have
Ajit,
done
yesterday
it.
it was there, no?
Yesterday it was
It
working.
was true. correct.
Jagabandhu has seen it. It
Yeah.
was working
This is-
actually.
This is a
But
machine
today
issue. So
something-
yeah, this is machine issues in GCP. Yeah.
Okay.
Let me just try to find the command. Yeah.
Should I stop sharing now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think if you just reinstall PyTorch,
Yeah,
It will
yeah.
fix it.
So that is a problem with torch.
which is a problem with Torch. Yes.
Yeah.
Pasted the command, sir. You can try reinstalling with this command. If not, you can have another look.
Hello, Anil.
Yes, sir.
Now I am in group number 3. I log in group 3. So after that, how I will go to language identification part, that folder, SRC.
Yeah.
How I will go to that folder?
How you go to that folder? Okay. So
How I will go to that folder?
yeah. So in group 3, who was running the experiment?
No one. I am trying to run it.
Okay. So are you able to log into group 3 today?
Yeah, I am able to log in.
If no one was running, then you need to train the model from scratch. Sir. So then, yeah,
Oh,
there would be
oh,
a
from
folder.
yesterday step from yesterday steps I have
We are
to.
getting so much noise from your side. Can you correct? We
Okay.
are getting so much noise.
Yeah. So I
Hello?
Hello.
From beginning I have to do everything.
Yes. If in group 3, I think there was an issue, right? People were not able to log into that instance. Or
Yesterday it was having issue.
yeah. So I think nobody was able to do on group 3. So if no one had done it, then you need to train the model from scratch, right? You can just clone the
Okay, okay.
repository and just fetch the data and run training. It will be fine.
Okay. That's why it's not showing that part.
Exactly.
The voice identification part.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody
Okay.
has done it, then it will be in the username, under the username directly. But if not, then you need to basically do it from the beginning. Yeah.
Okay. So can you share the steps yesterday, whatever we did?
Yeah, I will actually update the README. That will be more beneficial to everyone, so that everyone can just look at the GitHub of the points.
Can you make a one slide having all the steps from the beginning to till end?
Sure. I will do that.
Okay. Thank you.
README I will add. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, hello sir.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, how to batch infer this model? Like it is only single file inference, right?
Yeah. So if you want to batch infer, basically, you need to use a PyTorch data loader, right? So if I can share my screen.
Hello. Yes sir, do it.
Yeah. I
Once
will
can you
share my
show?
screen. Yeah.
Okay sir.
So there are various ways in which you can batch infer. Okay. So the easiest way would be to do it how we are doing for the validation data. Okay. So I would suggest that on all the files you want to batch infer, first you try to create a CSV file for that. Okay. Just for the paths Okay. We don't need labels, but just so that the PyTorch data loader can read it, right? And then here, while inside training.utils, what is happening is inside the train utils, so this is the training loop, right? And this is the training batch. Once it's inside, we are in the this thing here, right? And this is the validation, but it is running on a batch. So you can do the same thing. So instead, you want to create a new CSV file. it can contain labels, it cannot contain labels at the same thing. Those labels are dummy anyways. And then you can basically loop on them, okay, and then do the same thing. You have to do the same thing, but instead of calculating the loss, you just basically take the output and then get the argmax of this output. That will do. So I have not done that, but essentially it's the same thing. You just need to basically create a CSV file and loop it inside like this. If you want, I can actually then push a batch infer file today after this session, and the participants can have a look at that if they want a separate file for that.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Yeah, but it's the same technique. Same, like you don't need to calculate the loss. You don't need to calculate anything. Just from the output, you take the argmax of this, like it infer, and then it's done.
Okay, output will be a list like a
array. So if you look at the infer file, again it's gone somewhere. Here. So if you look at the forward pass here, so you see, so it's a list, of course, and then you take if you do the max one, then the prediction. You have to do the same thing, but just in the batch mode, okay, using a data loader. You don't need to calculate loss or anything.
Okay, sir. Thanks.
Yeah. I will push a file maybe in the evening or when I get time after the session, so that you can have a look later on that. Yeah. Any other questions?
Anirudh, can you also share that duration code which you typed in Jupyter?
Yeah.
Sometime
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I can share that, but it is already there in the repo. So if you look in the fetch data file, right here, so this is the code that I used to basically calculate duration using multiprocessing. So
Okay.
Maybe Anirudh, it better you can share that Python file what you have written there.
Jupyter, yeah, I can upload that. No problem.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. I can upload that file in the repo so that students can. It reduces the time by more than half. It is very powerful. So these kind of things. Even you can do very fancy things with inference also, right? Suppose you want to do inference and you are using a CPU.
For all the files, then,
exactly. You can wrap it in this parallel method and it will run on multiprocessing. So all these tricks have become very important when you want to do things on scale and all. Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yesterday, due to memory full, I am in group 4 GPU. So after Epoch in training, after Epoch 9, it was showing some errors due to memory full.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's the same.
Able to train my model full.
Yeah, I think till Epoch 9, you would already have got a very good accuracy. But still, I think the memory issue is because of the disk size on the drive. It was 50 GB, right? Yeah. I think we can increase it if you want, but I think till 9 epochs already it should have reached a 95-96% accuracy. That's what I have seen, at least in my experiments.
So what is your group? 4, 4 you are getting error?
Yeah, you can increase the size maybe. Yeah.
But after that, those
you have done with the training, no? Maybe I will remove other users' account from that.
It's okay. I mean, Harbin will be using the same instances, okay? And I think he is already increasing the disk size as we speak for today's afternoon session. Yes. So
okay.
Yeah. So we will use the same VMs. Just we will increase the disk size. So
so maybe
that issue was due to boot disk size, nothing else.
Correct.
Just increase that and it will be fixed. But till Epoch 9 already you should have a very good model. So
but today's comment are not running in this instance.
Yeah. I think because of the boot disk size. So can we increase that, group 4?
Yeah,
right?
I will.
Yeah. when we increase the size, I think those issues will go.
It's 200. It will be fine for afternoon session also, Anirudh?
Yeah, 200 would be will be fine. Yes.
100 or
100 will be fine. 100 will be fine. Yes.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah. So yeah, I think the objective of this tutorial was just to basically have a hands-on on how to basically load audio data into PyTorch and deep learning models. This is not by any means the best way to do language identification. There are other very sophisticated techniques, right? You can wrap another sequence model on top of ResNet. You can do a transformer layer on top of that, LSTM. There are many other things, but I think if this basic structure is in place, you know how the basic components work, then it's very easy to build up upon them, right? I hope that this was useful. And yeah, I mean, if anybody of you face any issues in the future also, you can create issues in this repo and I'll try to answer, you know, as much as I can. And you can contact me via email or, you know, however you want to. So I would be available and try to answer to the best of my ability. So I think, Jagbandhu, if no participants don't have any questions, we can close this or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So participants, is there anybody have any question? Otherwise, we are closing the session and we will resume it from 2:30.
Want to go to the breakout rooms for 10-15 minutes to spend some time with your group mates to show the things and clarify the things. If that is the case, maybe we can start the breakout rooms. I'll ask the participants what they want.
I think nobody have any query. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, I think we can close the session and we can go for the lunch.
Thank you so much, Vijay sir. Thank you for attending.
At 2:30 we will meet.
Okay,
Yeah.
at 2:30, yeah, we will start with Wave2Vec. Yeah, so that will also we will be many people there. So me, Harbin, and some of our other teammates will be also there to help because we have to install a lot of things to get that working. So yeah, we should prepare for that session.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Anirudh. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, participants. You can go for lunch and we will meet at 2:30. Thank you very much.